welcome to Gamer Life. On today's episode, I'm going to be doing a review of Thunder Alley. Thunder Alley is a racing simulation game that tries to simulate a stock car racing similar to NASCAR. It plays between 2 to 7 players and takes about 90 to 120 minutes to play. So, let's take a look at how it plays, and I'll tell you what I think. Here we have Thunder Alley set up for 5 players. As you can tell, the board is very large. It comes with 2 double-sided playing boards, so you have a decent amount of options on which track you want to play. Here's the other board right here. You can see that too good. In Thunder Alley, players are team managers, and they are trying to get their team to finish as high as possible. It's not about finishing first, but try to finish as high as possible, because based on the position you finish, you will be given points. Once the race is finished, you will add up all the points that each car got based on the position it's finished. The person with the highest total wins the game. Now, players will also be given these player boards here. These player boards represent the 6 cars on the racing team. In the 5-player game that is set up, you will only be given 3 cars. So you pick which 3 cars you want to use for the game, and then you would place the cars on the board based on the team bar on the racing cars. I'll go over that in a second. So here I have a closer look at the cars. The cars are fairly small. Let's take a look at it closely. They are double-sided. This is the white side, and this is the black side. They're double-sided because once a car is activated, you will turn it over to the opposite side to show that it's been activated. Now, cars can only move forward in the game. They can never go backwards. So to go forward or to go laterally only costs 1 movement. If a car wants to push a car into the wall or into the apron, it will cost them 2 movement points. So in this example, if red wanted to move into where blue is, it would cost them 2 movement points. They would then slide the whole row of cars back, and you would then move into the position that blue was just in, and it continues its movement forward if it has movement points to do so. Now, if blue had wanted to push red forward, it would cost blue 3 movement points to push red forward. So let me go over the player cards. Players will be given 1 plus the number of cards equal to the number of racing cars they had at the start of the game. So in this example here, we start with 3 cards. You will be given 4 cards to start. You play 1 card to activate each card. Once a card has been activated, you flip it over, and the turn passes to the next player. Once all players have activated all their cards, you can either keep the extra card you have, or you can discard it to get a fresh new hand of cards. So let's go over these cards. This number here is the basic movement of the car. That's how many spaces your car will move. That small number is how many spaces the car will move if it's coming out of the pit. That right there is the type of damage it takes. There are 2 types of damage in this game, temporary and permanent. I'll go over that in a second. And down here is the team bar. This bar helps determine what teams, if you need a tiebreaker, also helps determine setup. So let me go over each type of card and how they activate. This right here is a solo movement. You see there is no arrows in front or back. That means that car itself is going to move. This is a draft card. That means that the cars in front of it and behind it will move also. This is a pursuit movement. That means that it's going to be pushing all the cars in front of it. And this is a lead movement. That means that every car behind it will move. So let me explain how each one of these cards work corresponding to the game. How draft movement works is it's going to move every car in front of it and behind it. You see how these arrows indicate that. Now, based on the card, you can do a lateral movement if you want. But once you have formed a link, you cannot break the link, and no more lateral movements can be made. So, for example, if black here had played the draft movement card, what it can do, it could spend 2 of the 4 movement points to push blue back and take its spot. So it would push blue and all the cars in that row behind it, one space behind. It can then occupy that space. It can then now spend the next 2 points of movement to move forward, and it moves the whole chain forward. So it'll go 1, 2, and all the cars behind it would then move forward. And because it's activated, it would flip over. Now, this card here doesn't have any type of damage type because it's white. White cards here don't give damage, which is very good because you'll be acquiring a lot of damage throughout the game. Next card I want to talk about is Pursuit Movement. This is going to move every car in front of the activated car, including that car. So for example, let's say blue played the 5 Pursuit card. It will move itself forward 5 spaces as well as any card in front of it once it makes the link. So let's say it chooses to go forward and push yellow up for 2 points. It will then now move. It can now move forward 3 points, and it's going to push red with it. So it goes 1, 2, 3, and flip those and activates. And this also here is another blue temporary damage. The last card type I want to talk about is lead movement. That means that every card behind that car moves. So how that works is, let's say 77 is back here. It plays the 8 lead movement. It's going to move 8 spaces, and every racing car behind it will move forward with it. So in this example, 77 can choose to link up here or here. But once it makes the link is established, and it can no longer break it, and it must take all the cars behind it. So if it wanted to, it could shift down for 1, form the link up with black 19, and then move forward 7 spaces. Now, this type of movement, this specific card I should say, gives a orange permanent damage. These damage is permanent, and the chit for it is a lot bigger than a temporary one. Here, let me show you real quick. This here is the black temporary racing car damage, while this here is the much larger yellow engine damage. Now a car can only have 6 types of damage, regardless of type. Once it has 6 types of damage on it, it is out of the race. Now, a car can pit at the end of the turn to try to fix all its temporary damage. But only the temporary damage is fixed, not the permanent. After all players have activated their cards for the turn, you will then turn up 1 card from the event deck, read it out loud, and whether or not, based on the card, you will then get to pit. If it's a green card, if it's a green flag, read out the text. Players can then, after resolving the text, players can then choose to pit. They can pit, go into the apron, and move 5 spaces back. They can then, that's 5 here, sorry. They will then, on the next turn, they will exit out of the pit using the smaller number on the card. If it's a yellow, players will line up behind the start player, and then each race car will have a chance to pit, and then it will come out the pit and then line up behind the rest of the pack. Regardless of what type of pit it is, players will remove all temporary damage. And the red is just rain. The first red, nothing happens, but the second red, the race has gotten rained out. As long as you've completed at least 1 lap, based on the car's position, players will then be awarded points based on the position remaining, and the game is over. The small things I want to point out is, after every turn, the player who has led the turn for the round will get a turn leader marker, and that will give that car 1 point. Now, every car can only have 1 turn leader position awarded to them. Now, once 1 car has crossed the finish line after a set number of laps, you will then finish the turn, award out positions based on how the car is finished. First place will get first point marker. 10th place will get a 10th place marker. The first place is worth, you can see that, 46 points, and the 10th place is worth 34 points. Okay, and the points vary based on the position that the player has finished. If after the end of the turn, on the last turn, the cars that did not finish the race will be awarded their position based on how far back they are on the track. You will then add up all the points, and the player with the most points wins. So, I know what you're all thinking. the old movie Days of Thunder. Because this is Thunder Alley, right? It's not quite like that movie. This game is a true representation of NASCAR, or stock car racing, in which the whole pack is moving at the same time. Which does kind of make it hard to plan out your turn, because you might go and you might have a good position on what to do for your next turn, but when it comes around, the whole track layout has changed, and the car you wanted to move is now in the back by itself, just sitting there doing nothing. Now you have to work together in this game. You have to use your cars wisely to help push your other cars forward. So you're going to play those big draft movements and move that whole line forward up, i.e. the conga line, and pushing other cars. You don't want to push forward, but you want to push your car up as far as possible, because you want to try to win. You want to try to get all your cars to finish as close as possible to get the most points out of them. Now there is some decent amount of randomness to this game. Like in the third turn, one event card says the car with the most engine damage takes another engine hit and is out of the race. And I did nothing to do that except by playing one car that gave me an engine damage. And just so happened that the event card that came up targeted my car, and now I'm short one car, and we haven't even started the second lap. So there is that element of randomness to it, but with that, I still enjoy this game. It doesn't have the true feel of speed that other racing games have, say Formula D, but I enjoy the teamwork aspect and how you have to work together with your cars and other players, because you need help in this game. One car will not finish on its own. You need to work together. So that pretty much wraps up my review of Thunder Alley. Thanks for watching, and remember, I believe there's a game for everyone. Have a nice day.